Orcas are undeniably among the most breathtaking creatures on Earth. Their sleek, black and white bodies cutting through the water with an effortless grace that captivates all who witness it. This majestic beauty has made them a star attraction at major ocean parks around the world, drawing in crowds eager to witness their intelligence and athleticism up close. But behind the dazzling performances and carefully choreographed shows lies a harsh reality, a truth often obscured by the bright lights and cheering crowds. These intelligent animals are often mistreated and exploited for entertainment, their well-being sacrificed for the sake of human amusement and profit. What many forget, as they sit in the stands marveling at the sight of an orca leaping through the air or performing complex tricks, is that orcas aren't just beautiful, they're also incredibly powerful and inherently unpredictable. They are apex predators, possessing a level of intelligence and social complexity that rivals our own, and confining them to artificial environments can have devastating consequences, both for the animals themselves and for the humans who interact with them. Today, we're diving into shocking stories, accounts that reveal the dark side of marine park entertainment, where trainers have faced the ultimate consequence: deadly encounters with the very orcas they trained, encounters that expose the inherent risks of keeping these magnificent creatures in captivity. While parks have often tried to keep some of these incidents hidden, downplaying the dangers and sanitizing the narrative to protect their image and bottom line, we're here to reveal them all, to shed light on the tragic events that have occurred, and to examine the ethical implications of keeping orcas in captivity. These are stories of ambition, of misplaced trust, and of the devastating consequences that can arise when the power and unpredictability of these magnificent creatures are underestimated. These are stories that demand to be told, stories that force us to confront the uncomfortable truth about the price of entertainment and the well-being of the animals that are forced to perform for our amusement. One such story, a chilling example of the inherent risks involved in working with orcas in captivity, unfolded on May 16, 2012. At Blue Horizon Marine Park in San Diego. The air was buzzing with excitement as the park prepared for its summer season opener, a highly anticipated event that promised to draw in large crowds and generate significant revenue. Known for its intimate shows and innovative training techniques, Blue Horizon offered visitors a closer look at marine life than larger, more established parks like SeaWorld. The park prided itself on its ability to create a personal connection between trainers and animals, fostering a sense of intimacy and trust that set it apart from its competitors. The star of the show, the main attraction that drew visitors from far and wide, was Aurora, a 16-year-old female orca captured off the coast of Russia in 2001. At 19 feet long and weighing 8,000 pounds, Aurora was smaller than most performing orcas. But what she lacked in size, she more than made up for with her intelligence and her exciting, unpredictable behavior. She was a captivating creature, a force of nature contained within the confines of the park's orca tank, and her performances were always a spectacle to behold. Blue Horizon had been a staple of San Diego's tourist scene for decades, a beloved destination for families and marine life enthusiasts alike. Founded in the early 1980s as a small marine education center, it grew steadily over the years, expanding its facilities and adding performances to attract larger crowds. Unlike larger parks, Blue Horizon marketed itself as a more personal experience, focusing on trainer-animal interactions and emphasizing conservation and education. It quickly became a favorite among families, offering up-close encounters with dolphins, sea lions, and of course, Aurora, the park's most popular attraction. By the 2000s, Blue Horizon had built a loyal following, a dedicated fan base that appreciated the park's commitment to pushing the boundaries of marine mammal performance while maintaining a family-first atmosphere. The Orca tank at Blue Horizon held 1.5 million gallons of water and had an observation platform that allowed audiences a full view of the pool's 40-foot depth. It was a state-of-the-art facility designed to provide the orcas with a stimulating and enriching environment, or so the park claimed. However, the park's smaller size and fewer resources meant it sometimes operated on thinner margins, forcing management to make difficult decisions and to constantly strive to remain competitive in an increasingly crowded market. That pressure to stand out, to offer something unique and unforgettable, often led to compromises and shortcuts, creating a breeding ground for potential disaster. Management often walked a fine line between innovation and risk, striving to remain competitive in an increasingly crowded market. That pressure to stand out would ultimately set the stage for what was about to unfold, a tragedy that would forever change the fate of Blue Horizon and the lives of those who worked there. In the spotlight that day, poised to perform alongside Aurora in what promised to be the most spectacular show of the season, was Sophia Chen, a 22-year-old trainer with a deep passion for marine life. Raised in Huntington Beach, California, Sophia had been fascinated by the ocean for as long as anyone could remember. As a child, she spent hours at the tide pools, carefully observing starfish and anemones, dreaming of the day she could work with marine animals. Her father, a marine biologist, was her greatest inspiration, taking her on early morning boat trips to tag dolphins and study migrating whales. Those shared experiences sparked something in Sophia, a lifelong desire to bridge the gap between humans and the creatures of the sea, to foster a deeper understanding and appreciation for the wonders of the marine world. But her path wasn't without its challenges. Her father passed away unexpectedly when she was 16, leaving a void in her life that only deepened her connection to the ocean. It became her sanctuary, a place where she felt closest to him, a place where she could find solace and peace amidst the crashing waves and the endless horizon. Determined to honor his memory, Sophia threw herself into her studies, excelling in her classes and earning the respect of her teachers and peers. She eventually earned a degree in marine biology and secured an internship at Blue Horizon, where her talent and dedication quickly became evident. By 22, Sophia had become one of the youngest senior trainers at Blue Horizon, a remarkable achievement that spoke volumes about her abilities and her unwavering commitment to her work. Known for her patience and calm demeanor, she had a gift for working with the park's more difficult animals, a natural ability to connect with them on a deeper level and to earn their trust and respect. None more so than Aurora. Trainers often struggled to maintain the orca's attention, finding it difficult to engage her and to keep her focused during training sessions. But Sophia could engage her for hours, earning the trust of the 8,000-pound predator in a way few others had. She had a knack for understanding Aurora's moods and anticipating her behavior, allowing her to work with the orca in a way that was both safe and productive. Colleagues often said that Sophia had a natural connection with the orca, one that seemed almost unspoken, a bond that transcended the boundaries of species and created a unique partnership between human and animal. Aurora, in many ways, became a symbol of Sophia's resilience, an unpredictable wild force that she worked tirelessly to understand and bond with, a creature that challenged her and inspired her in equal measure. The park's management, recognizing the potential of this unique bond, capitalized on this relationship, pushing her into high-profile performances and marketing campaigns to the public. Sophia was the park's rising star, someone with a bright future who seemed born to be in the water, riding the waves alongside the ocean's most powerful creatures. But behind the scenes, away from the cheering crowds and the admiring gazes, tensions were growing. Trainers with years of experience, seasoned professionals who had dedicated their lives to working with marine mammals, had begun noticing changes in Aurora's behavior. Jessica Martinez, the head trainer, a woman with decades of experience in the field, observed subtle but concerning signs: refusing food, a clear indication of stress or illness, vocalizing in unfamiliar patterns, suggesting distress or discomfort, and ignoring established cues during rehearsals, a sign of defiance or a lack of focus. These behaviors, while not overtly aggressive, were clear indicators of stress and unease, setting off alarms among senior staff who understood the potential dangers of working with a stressed orca. Just weeks earlier, during a rehearsal for the upcoming summer show, Aurora had refused to perform the breach maneuver, a signature trick that involved leaping out of the water and landing with a dramatic splash. She had exhibited signs of agitation, thrashing her tail and vocalizing loudly, and had even snapped at Sophia, a clear warning sign that something was amiss. Jessica raised her concerns about the new high-risk routine planned for the afternoon show, a maneuver that required Sophia to ride on Aurora's back for a full circle around the tank, ending in a synchronized breach. She recommended postponing the performance until Aurora could be fully evaluated, suggesting that the park's veterinarian conduct a thorough examination to determine the cause of her distress. She also suggested modifying the routine to reduce the risk of injury to both Sophia and Aurora, advocating for a more cautious approach that prioritized safety over spectacle. Management, however, had other ideas. Sophia was a rising star, and the unique bond between her and Aurora had become a centerpiece of the park's marketing strategy, a key element in attracting visitors and generating revenue. The morning show's flawless execution, a performance that had captivated the audience and generated rave reviews, only strengthened their resolve to push forward with a packed stadium and the promise of a spectacular performance. Postponing the show or modifying the routine would have meant disappointing thousands of ticket holders and potentially damaging the park's reputation. The show would go on at 2:30 p.m., regardless of the potential risks. The stadium was packed with over 3,000 spectators, families and tourists eager to witness the spectacle of the Orca show. Sophia smiled and waved to the crowd before stepping onto the platform, her face radiating confidence and excitement. The routine began as planned, with Aurora performing her initial behaviors: spy hops, tail slaps, and vocalizations with precision, delighting the audience with her grace and power. But Jessica, watching from the sidelines with a growing sense of unease, noticed the Orca's movements were becoming rigid, her turns sharper than usual. Sophia, focused on the crowd's excitement and the adrenaline of the performance, missed these subtle signs, failing to recognize the warning signals that Aurora was sending. As she slid into the water, the audience fell silent in anticipation of the grand finale, the synchronized breach that promised to be the highlight of the show. Sophia positioned herself near Aurora's dorsal fin, preparing for the maneuver, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Without warning, Aurora twisted violently, clamping down on Sophia's torso with her powerful jaws. The crowd's cheers turned to horrified screams as the Orca dragged Sophia to the bottom of the 40-foot tank, the scene unfolding before their eyes like a nightmare come to life. The water, crystal clear, left nothing to the imagination. Spectators watched in shock and disbelief as Aurora pinned Sophia against the bottom of the pool, the trainer's body limp and lifeless in the Orca's grasp. Trainers on the platform, realizing the gravity of the situation, slapped the water with poles and deployed the emergency net. But Aurora ignored them, her focus solely on the trainer she had trapped beneath the surface. The Orca held Sophia underwater for nearly 2 minutes, surfacing briefly before diving again, each time with Sophia's body still in her grasp. Each time Sophia resurfaced, her movements grew weaker, her struggle for survival becoming more and more desperate. Aurora's grip remained unrelenting as she thrashed Sophia through the water, her powerful jaws inflicting devastating injuries on the young trainer's body. Her powerful tail churned up waves that crashed against the tank's edges, sending sprays of water over the stunned onlookers, adding to the chaos and horror of the scene. Sophia managed to break free for a fleeting moment, gasping for air, her eyes wide with terror and desperation. But Aurora lunged again, pulling her under before she could reach safety. The trainer's shouts grew more frantic as they tried to distract the Orca with food buckets, a last-ditch effort that had worked in emergencies before. But Aurora refused to respond, her aggression overriding any sense of hunger or obedience. The struggle continued for over 3 minutes, an eternity in the face of such horror, the Orca's raw strength overwhelming any attempt to save the young trainer. Blood began to cloud the water, a dark and chilling contrast against the bright blue of the tank, painting a gruesome picture of the tragedy that was unfolding. When rescue divers finally reached her, they pulled her lifeless body from the water, her limbs limp and broken, her skin pale and bloodied. Emergency responders performed CPR as she was rushed to UC San Diego Medical Center, but it was too late. Sophia was pronounced dead shortly after arrival, her life tragically cut short by the very animal she had dedicated her life to understanding and protecting. The autopsy revealed catastrophic injuries, multiple broken ribs, a punctured lung, and a severed spinal cord. Injuries that spoke to the immense power of the Orca and the brutal nature of the attack. Drowning was listed as the official cause of death, a stark and devastating end to a life filled with promise and passion. The aftermath was swift and unforgiving. Blue Horizon faced intense scrutiny for ignoring warning signs and failing to implement proper safety protocols. Their negligence exposed for all the world to see. Internal documents revealed that senior trainers had raised concerns about Aurora's increasing stress, only to be overruled by management, who prioritized profit over safety. The park was fined heavily, a symbolic gesture that did little to ease the pain and suffering of those who had lost Sophia. Within a year, Blue Horizon permanently shut down its Orca program, its reputation tarnished beyond repair. Aurora was retired from performances and relocated to a facility focused on research and rehabilitation, her fate forever intertwined with the tragedy that had unfolded at Blue Horizon. The incident led to increased caution when working with orcas in captivity, though it didn't result in a complete ban, a decision that continued to spark debate and controversy. Among trainers, awareness of the risks was heightened, but the inherent dangers of working with these powerful and unpredictable animals remained. But as our next story reveals, having multiple trainers on site is not enough to guarantee safety. Without proper training and the right judgment, even though you may be cautious, a single mistake can lead to a fatal outcome and the tragic death of an orca trainer. This is the story of Jonathan Smith, and it would serve as a harrowing reminder of the ever-present dangers of keeping orcas in captivity. It was a crisp, breezy morning on July 6, 1991, in San Diego, California. The SeaWorld Park, normally bustling with families and eager tourists, seemed quieter than usual, a sense of foreboding hanging in the air. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a soft glow over the crowd, while the occasional call of a distant seagull added to the peaceful ambiance. Visitors milled about, absorbing the sights and sounds of the ocean, unaware that the performance they were about to witness would shatter the tranquil mood and lead to a tragic event that would leave a permanent scar on the park's legacy. Jonathan Smith, a 20-year-old marine animal trainer, stood backstage near the massive orca tank, his heart pounding in his chest. He had always dreamed of working with marine animals, and at such a young age, his dream had come true. Jonathan had recently been hired at SeaWorld, and this performance would be his first time working with Candu, one of the park's most famous orcas. He had heard the whispers from the other trainers about Candu's unpredictable behavior, stories of aggression and defiance that sent shivers down his spine. But they reassured him that it was just part of the nature of working with such powerful creatures. However, Jonathan couldn't shake the feeling that something was different today, a sense of unease that gnawed at him as he prepared for the show. He was about to face Candu in the water, to put his trust in an animal that was known for her unpredictable nature, and he hadn't fully realized the risk he was about to take. Candu, a 19-foot orca, was one of SeaWorld's pride animals, a star attraction that drew in crowds from all over the world. Born in the wild off the coast of Iceland in 1977, she was captured at the age of 3 and brought to the park, her freedom stolen for the sake of human entertainment. Her size and strength made her a staple of the shows at SeaWorld, where she had dazzled audiences with her agility and beauty, performing complex tricks and captivating the crowds with her impressive displays of athleticism. But beneath her mesmerizing exterior, Candu harbored signs of distress, the years spent in captivity taking a toll on her mental and physical well-being. Over time, her interactions with the trainers became more unpredictable, her behavior shifting from playful and cooperative to aggressive and defiant. Moments of aggression and erratic movements were becoming more frequent, especially when it was time for her to perform, a clear indication that she was struggling to cope with the demands of captivity. Her behavior had become a known risk, a factor that trainers had to take into account when working with her, though the park continued to push her into performances as she was one of their top attractions, a valuable asset that they were unwilling to let go of. Jonathan had trained with orcas before, but never one as large and potentially dangerous as Candu. Despite his nerves, he trusted the safety protocols and the guidance of his senior trainers, who assured him everything would go smoothly, that he had nothing to worry about as long as he followed their instructions and maintained a respectful distance. As the show began, everything seemed normal, the familiar routine unfolding as planned. Candu performed her tricks with her usual grace, thrilling the audience as she breached the surface of the tank, sending water cascading through the air like a shimmering curtain. Jonathan, standing at the edge of the tank, gave her the signals, and Candu obeyed with the precision she had become known for, executing the commands with a seemingly effortless grace. The crowd cheered as the routine went on, their excitement building with each successful trick. But as the performance neared its end, and it was time for Jonathan to enter the water with Candu for the final act, something began to shift, a subtle change in Candu's demeanor that sent a shiver down Jonathan's spine. Candu's movements became less fluid, more erratic, her energy shifting from playful to tense. Her tail slapped against the water with an intensity that sent ripples across the tank, a sign of agitation that Jonathan couldn't ignore. When Jonathan entered the water beside Candu, the orca circled him in an unsettling way, her eyes no longer meeting his, but darting around as if searching for something, her focus seemingly elsewhere. Jonathan signaled for the breach, the moment when Candu would rise above him, creating a dramatic and awe-inspiring spectacle. But instead, she swam past him, ignoring his cues, her attention fixed on something that only she could see. Candu swam in tight circles, her body tense and her movements jarring, creating a vortex of unease in the water around Jonathan. He repeated the signal more firmly this time, but Candu didn't respond, her defiance growing with each passing moment. Suddenly, without warning, Candu swam directly at Jonathan, her massive body hurtling towards him with an unstoppable force. The audience gasped as Candu's massive body slammed into him, knocking him off his feet and sending him tumbling through the water. Her teeth sank into his arm with terrifying force, dragging him beneath the surface into the depths of the tank where the struggle for survival would begin. The water around them churned violently as Candu thrashed Jonathan, her powerful jaws clamping down on his body, inflicting unimaginable pain and terror. Jonathan's attempts to break free were futile against the strength of the orca. He was trapped, unable to escape the grip of the animal that moments before had been his partner in the show. The crowd watched in frozen horror, their gasps turning to screams as they realized this was no longer part of the act, that something had gone horribly wrong. For several minutes, which felt like an eternity, Jonathan was pulled and slammed against the tank walls, his body battered and bruised by the relentless force of the orca's attack. Candu's grip did not relent, and another orca, Keanu, joined the attack, further complicating the desperate scene and adding to the chaos and confusion. The show's other trainers screamed for help, tossing buoy rings and anything they could find into the water, hoping to distract Candu and create an opportunity for Jonathan to escape. But Candu seemed oblivious to their efforts, focused solely on the young trainer she had trapped beneath the surface. Blood began to cloud the water, staining the pristine blue with a dark and ominous red, and it became clear that the situation was dire, that Jonathan's life hung in the balance. When Candu finally released Jonathan, her grip loosening after what seemed like an eternity, his limp body floated to the surface, unconscious and severely injured. The scene was chaotic. Divers plunged into the tank, pulling Jonathan to safety, but the damage had been done. Paramedics rushed to the scene, performing CPR as Jonathan was quickly transported to a nearby hospital, his fate uncertain. Jonathan survived the incident, but suffered serious injuries, including bruised ribs, internal organ damage, and a laceration to his liver caused by Candu's jaws, a testament to the ferocity of the attack. He was hospitalized for 9 days following the attack, his life forever changed by the traumatic experience. In the aftermath of the attack, Jonathan filed a lawsuit against SeaWorld, alleging negligence and seeking damages for the harm caused by Candu and the other orca involved, holding the park accountable for their failure to protect him from harm. The lawsuit highlighted the park's failure to address the growing signs of aggression in the orcas and the risks associated with their captivity, exposing the inherent dangers of keeping these powerful animals confined to artificial environments. Jonathan claimed that despite the known risks, SeaWorld had allowed him to participate in a performance with Candu without proper safeguards or training for handling such aggressive behavior, putting his life at risk for the sake of entertainment. The lawsuit was settled out of court, the details remaining confidential, but the incident brought significant attention to the safety of trainers and the ethics of orca captivity, fueling ongoing debates about the treatment of marine mammals in entertainment and sparking calls for reform. Candu, once a symbol of SeaWorld's success, was temporarily removed from the performance schedule, her future uncertain. Though the emotional and physical scars from the attack would remain, a constant reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded, SeaWorld continued to face scrutiny, and the tragic incident with Jonathan Smith became a painful reminder of the risks inherent in captivity, a warning that the park could not afford to ignore. However, Jonathan Smith's harrowing incident was not the only one of its kind at SeaWorld. John Sillick, another experienced trainer, would soon face the same aggression from orcas that had gone unchecked for years, adding to the growing list of incidents that exposed the dangers of working with these captive animals. Despite the mounting incidents, the increasing evidence of the risks involved, SeaWorld continued to ignore the growing signs of danger, prioritizing profit over the safety and well-being of their trainers. What followed would have horrific consequences, exposing just how dangerously close the park came to repeating its mistakes, a failure to learn from the past that would ultimately lead to tragedy. It was a serene afternoon on July 11, 2016, in Monterey, California. The sun hung lazily in the sky, casting long, golden rays over the Pacific Ocean. Seaside Marine Park, a beloved local attraction, buzzed with life as visitors strolled past exhibits, taking in the beauty of the coastal setting. The sound of waves crashing gently against the shore, blended with the laughter of children and the distant calls of seagulls, creating a tranquil and inviting atmosphere. The bright, warm atmosphere belied the tension that quietly simmered beneath the surf, a sense of unease that would soon erupt in a moment of shocking violence. If you found this story disturbing and want to learn more about the complexities of marine mammal captivity, please subscribe to our channel. We provide in-depth analysis and ethical considerations surrounding these beautiful yet powerful creatures. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on new content and join a community of people passionate about animal welfare. Subscribe to our channel for more content.